Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Inside the 2023 Top Startups to Watch in the Midwest panel. We are so thrilled to have you here with us. My name is Hannah. I am your moderator for today from the Purpose Jobs team. To our existing community members, welcome back, and welcome to those of you who are new to the Purpose Jobs community. We're very excited to have you. Purpose Jobs is your source for Midwest tech and startup news, from storytelling to community building. We're just really here to help our community learn about the amazing places to work in our region and to really create an opportunity for connection through events like this, happy hours, and we manage a Slack channel and different things like that. So be sure to check out our website and make sure you're tapping into all of the opportunities that we provide to our community. A few housekeeping items. First, would love to get you all familiar with that chat. Go ahead and post and let us know where you're joining from. Would love to see which communities we have represented out there. So you can access chats from both the LinkedIn and YouTube live streams. So feel free to pop into those if you'd like to let us know where you're from. So give us a shout out. And then throughout the conversation, I just want to encourage everyone to post questions or anything that really resonates with you that our panelists have to share. Just give us some feedback. Let us know what really hits home and share any questions that you have. I'll do my best to work those into the conversation and or save them for the end. But without further ado, very excited to jump in. I wanted to give just a quick preview on Top Startups to Watch as a whole. So this is an award that Purpose Jobs does annually to really recognize some of these top startup and tech companies in the Midwest. And we have 4 of those recipients joining us today who will introduce themselves here in a second. Those startups and companies are gonna receive that award for for a few different reasons. Related to growth within their organization. It could be recent funding or grant news, recent office expansions or rapid growth, exciting product developments, things like that. So our panelists today are really going to be able to give us the insight into what that looks like for each of them. So with that, would love to dive into introductions. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists if you could please share your name and just a brief background, and then introduce your company and kind of the story behind it. And we'd love a shout out into what really makes you all purpose driven, knowing that this is a Purpose Jobs panel. So I'm going to kick things over. Matt, would you mind starting things off for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, everyone. My name's Matt Rea. I am the Vice President of Revenue Operations at Greenlancer. So basically what revenue operations is all encompassing of marketing, sales, and customer success. Basically, how do we apply scale to each of those different departments? So that's what my focus is day in and day out for Greenlancer. Now, Greenlancer is basically an online marketplace for solar installers to get any sort of permit drafting, design, or engineering done for projects. So we serve everyone from the 3-person installer team to nationwide powerhouses who choose to basically outsource all of their design to us. Sign up for an account for free, and they can basically shop a whole marketplace, a bunch of different vendors, and they can check out, manage their project, all of that stuff right through our platform. So we are very heavily in the renewable energy space, as you can imagine. Solar is our bread and butter, but we've expanded into EV charging infrastructure as well recently. And we also have been a part of telecommunications as far as like the 5G build out, tower sites and things like that. So I think what makes us purpose driven is, a lot of the people in the company believe in renewable as, a supplement to our country's energy sources. So we believe that we're helping to streamline that, and we're helping to accelerate the adoption of that solar energy by allowing installers to get jobs done faster.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate what you all are doing for sure. Naveed, I'm going to kick it over to you next.
Hey everyone, I'm Naveed Iqbal, co-founder CEO here at Dolr. Spent most of my life in academia as an applied mathematician, studying AI, and then I worked at a large bank building consumer financial products, which is very exciting. At some point during that, I took the red pill, joined the startup world, and I haven't looked back. It's been fantastic because you get to help people and see the impact of that help every single day. What's Dolr? Dolr, we beat student debt and build wealth for people. That's what we do in a nutshell. You can think about us as a more comprehensive financial wellness tool for employers. Usually you start with when people want financial wellness, what they're saying is, I have this big problem and I don't know how to solve it. And that problem is usually student debt. And so when we help them beat that student debt and then build wealth, retirement, investments, and so on. Why we're purpose driven? Well, that's exactly why all of us joined the team, because we have a very, very deep burning desire to help other people.
I love that, Naveed. Just amazing the work that you all are doing over at Dolr. Thank you for joining. Jeff, gonna kick things over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. And it's a pleasure to meet everybody else on the panel. And thank you to everybody else for joining in and listening today. So I've been with Aware since the very beginning. I'm one of the founders and the CEO. And for those that don't know much about Aware, an easy way to kind of think about us is we're very much an AI, ML driven company focused on helping organizations of every size and scale get a better understanding of their communications at scale. So think communications from employees to employees, communications with customers, both the greatest risk within those communications, but also the greatest opportunity. So when you think about some use cases, some of the things that we take a lot of pride in is helping organizations like the Starbuckses, the Walmarts, or the McDonald's of the world really identify and eliminate toxicity or toxic hotspots, or address real-time discrimination as it's happening, or identify maybe some of the greatest ideas from their front line that often go ignored and aren't brought up to the level of the boardroom where they really belong, and perhaps could drive new decisioning and create great opportunity. We believe that to our core, that there's just a better way of operating in the world, and we think we play a significant part in that in the future.
Love that. Thank you, Jeff, so much for highlighting what you all are doing at Aware. Sang, kick it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sang Lam. I'm the Chief People Officer here at Skyspecs. A little bit about my background. I have been in the tech startup space now for the last 7 years. And prior to that, I spent some time in the consulting world. Realistically fell into the HR function by accident. I was a sales guy by trade, but fell in love with people, fell in love with, being able to support and help folks. Skyspecs, we are a awesome organization right here in the heart of Ann Arbor. What we focus on, very similar to Matt, we're in the renewable space, and realistically, we want to shine a light on the wind industry. And, if you think about fossil fuels and you're thinking about everything that's going on in the world today, looking at renewables and looking at the way that, Matt and I are looking at our companies and how we're changing the way that people see renewables, it's different, right? And this sounds a little crazy, but it's sexy right now. And for us to be able to really help shape and change the future of, the country, the world, the states that we live in, it's pretty phenomenal. And, for us as an organization, we've been around for 10 years, seen super hyper growth here in the last 2, where we went from 70 to 260 employees. And being a global organization, we're seeing a lot of scale. We're looking at the way that we're just changing the future, and we're doing it one step at a time. So purpose-wise, it's all the above, right? We're trying to change the world and make sure that there's a better place for everyone.
Amazing. Just so thrilled to have all of you on here. I think the audience will agree that you all are you're tackling such personable and real problems in the world, from that renewable energy side, finances, to, having your voice heard, as an employee. So thank you again, all so much for joining and for doing the work that you do every day to help make everyone's lives better and the world a better place. So let's dive into our first question. We're going to start pretty broad. What do you think really makes and qualifies your organization as a top startup to watch? We just talked about a lot of your why and your purpose and your mission, but what is the growth? What is the type of growth that you've been seeing? What really puts you in this position and qualifies you for this award? So I'm going to switch up the order a little bit. Naveed, would you want to go first this time?
Sure. So great question. We're succeeding in a space that's very noisy and complicated that a lot of people have tried and failed in. And I think that's the most compelling thing about what we're doing is we're making a real difference for people every single day. And that's reflected in how we're growing. We've beat our year-on-year estimates by several 100%. Our investors love to hear that, but more importantly for the team, we qualify ourselves every single day with the question, how have we helped people today? And that question is very fun to answer in the positive sense.
I love that. Thanks, Naveed, for hitting on that. Jeff, do you want to jump in next?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think there's tremendous amount of great startups out there. So it's a pleasure to even receive some of this acknowledgement, just knowing how many great companies are being built, all focused on real critical problems and opportunities. I mean, everybody on this panel and the many startups and founders that are probably attending this, all are focused on real tactical and strategic things around the world. But I think for us, one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is we happen to partner with some of the greatest and most iconic brands in the world, from Walmart to Starbucks to McDonald's to Delta Airlines. It's a lot, when you start to think about some of their businesses and what they're trying to do for the world, and how we play a critical part in their whole value chain with helping to identify the toxicity that exists and the greatest opportunities and ideas from their front line. You have to take pride in that. You have to sit back and realize, wow, like we're working with some of the coolest companies in the world. And sometimes we forget that. And it's obviously, as Naveed said, it's when you're successful, it attracts great investor intention and great partnerships. And we can obviously check a lot of those boxes. But I think all of us here at Aware just take more pride in the problems that we're solving for the customers that we're solving them for.
For sure. And Jeff, Aware also just opened a new office, correct?
Yes, we did. So it's maybe I'm one of the few that's still investing in that space. I don't know. I mean, for us, we believe that it's a critical component to our culture, and it's a place of community. It's not the office as you've always recognized or acknowledged it of the past. It's not a place where you would go and assume there's 100 or hundreds of desks. I mean, our view is it's a place where we can congregate and bring people together and fly people in from around the globe when we want to bring them together. So it's kind of evolved since the original idea.
For sure. Awesome. Sang, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, the tech space, I mean, if we think about it, the last couple of years has just been crazy, right? And we got to a point where everybody was fighting for talent. And I think what sets us apart from, a lot of the organizations outside of, just the Ann Arbor ecosystem, it's what we bring to the table. It's who we are. It's our identity. It's this community in Ann Arbor too that's just phenomenal. That it's funny when people come and visit or they come and interview at our office in Ann Arbor, they're like, wow, like this area is like, there's this energy, right? That's inside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And, I think for us, it's not just the work that we do, it's the people that we get to do it with. It attracts this different caliber of folks that are passionate, people that are driven, people that are extremely excited in the work that they're doing, right? So it kind of just changes up the space a little bit, and it helps us kind of attract the right folks, and it keeps us in that hyper scale level.
For sure. Awesome. Thanks, Sang. Matt, I'll kick it over to you to close out this question.
Yeah. And so I think Sang can probably identify with this. He kind of mentioned tech and renewable is both very, very hot right now. And so we're sort of at the intersection of that. And I think that places us in a unique category, but also our product and our marketplace itself is something that no one else really does. There's not like a direct competitor. Obviously, there are competitors to us, but no one is doing the, solar marketplace right now. And so that sort of sets us off as unique. And then the last thing is, again, we've seen crazy growth, and that growth obviously spurred by our own internal company efforts, but there's so much momentum behind renewable right now. It is a good place to be.
For sure. Love that. Thank you all for hitting on that. I want to continue down this kind of growth focus for a moment. And let's kind of look to the future. So what type of growth are you focused on for the future? And what type of growth are you anticipating to make the biggest impact on your business that will really continue to make you keep you as a top startup or tech company to watch? Jeff, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think on our journey, for those that don't know much about the technology, I mean, we've invested a massive amount over the last many years in the artificial intelligence that we built out, which means just a ton of machine learning models that really understand human to human connection and collaboration, both the risk attached to it, but also the opportunity. And for us, we've got to this point now where the businesses that we work with are wanting to build on top of that platform. They want to create new applications. They want to identify risk in ways we never even thought, was truly possible. They want to identify opportunity in ways we never thought were possible. And that's just the next step in our journey, where we begin to open up the core platform to both our customers and to SIs and other technology partners out there who look at the same problem that we're trying to solve and say, hey, I want to be a part of that too. I believe in this and I want to be attached to that. And can I help out in some way by connecting into the core platform? And so we are really excited about that. We're going to be actually announcing, you'll see a press release, I'm kind of teasing it here a little bit, in a few days, where we're opening up the whole platform to the world here in the next week or so. So you'll see that opportunity, and we're just tremendously excited about that next stage of our journey.
Amazing, Jeff. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure you've got to look back sometimes and be like, wow, look at how far we've come. So that's just got to be a really great feeling.
We all do, for sure.
I love that. Sang, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah. Going back to the renewable tech space, it's the category creation that we've created here around the wind industry. I still feel like we're in our infancy stages and we're just scratching the surface, right? So, as you keep hearing about states that want to go carbon neutral, net neutral, they want to go green, you're seeing countries that are going completely green. There's more of a need than ever, right, for our space. And our growth trajectory is it's crazy. I tell this to a lot of folks. It's like a rocket ship right now. We're getting ready to leave orbit, and it's just endless for us to be able to just keep going up. Folks that are passionate, folks that are driven, people that are excited, we're always welcoming those folks into a company like Skyspecs, because we believe that we're solving something that is not just beneficial, but it's just super exciting, right? And not a lot of folks are touching the space. And the ones that are I think it's just nonstop growth. So, for us, it's going to be year over year growth for us.
That's awesome. Thanks, Sang. Naveed, I'm going to kick it over to you now.
It's incredible to watch, and I'm so proud to be part of the Columbus community, because I see Jeff post stuff on LinkedIn all the time, and it's like, holy crap, like these people build right there. It's like, it's incredible to see the impact that all of us are making in the world. In terms of growth, is for us, we're a bit earlier stage, and so it's just letting more people know that we exist, who we are, what we do, and how we can help them, and that's a core focus for us. We're very positive. We're showing signs of product market fit, and it's just doubling down on that and saying, okay, like how can we get to more people and help more people?
Hannah, I think you're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Thanks, Jeff. I thought I hit the button, but it apparently didn't click. Naveed, thank you for sharing. And Naveed, I was wondering too, could you really quick just like hit on the 3 or 4 strategies that you all have for helping people pay down their student loans?
Yeah, so we have one core strategy, and that is the recognition that people aren't beating their student debt because they don't have enough money. It's the most obvious thing. And so we go and connect and find them more cash for their student loan payments. So today we work with employers, we work with a number of national brands, some of which Jeff mentioned, to provide cash back when people shop at those brands. It builds loyalty for employers. There's retention, recruitment, engagement of the teams. Financial stress is a big part of why people aren't as happy at work as they could be. We also help people automate their habits and really rely on their communities. So we are very proud that we've built what we call the Village, which is the Venmo for student loan payments. So anyone can receive payments to their student loans from anyone else. So, we see incredible behaviors popping up there where people are taking their babysitting payments, for instance, directly to the student loans and other similar things like this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naveed. Appreciate it. Okay, Matt, I will let you close us out with a growth question and how you're really seeing that in the future at Greenlancer.
Yeah, so I think for us, we've definitely established ourselves in the market. And we've seen over the last 2 years specifically some pretty impressive growth numbers as far as revenue goes. So at this point, we're looking forward and saying, how do we actually do this in a scalable way and put processes in place to allow us to reach the 10x number that we want to get to, without having the wheels fall off? Because I think every startup gets to that point where, you get product market fit and you start to grow really crazy. But if you can't keep up the right hiring practices, the right processes, all of that type of leadership stuff, things will not work out. So it's like our hyper focus right now is ensuring all of that stuff is in place. So we've got sort of the guardrails to let us just kind of run.
Awesome. Great. Thank you all so much for hitting on future growth. I want to dive now a little bit more into, the team, the culture, things like that. So this next question is, if you weren't one of the founding team members or, initial team members, why did you join the team and why do you stick around? And then if you were one of the founding members or anyone really, what is the reason that you see employees sticking around or joining the team? Let's kind of touch on those things a little bit. Sang, do you mind kicking us off this time?
Yeah. So, for myself, not being a founding member, when I joined Skyspecs, I just got done with an organization that went public, and I had the option to, stick around, enjoy that ride, or, go to my next startup. As soon as I walked in the door and I met the team here, it was like instant. Where have you guys been? Right? Like, it was this energy, this connection, and it was the mission, the vision, the values of Skyspecs that got me excited about why I should be joining this organization. It's funny, like when I met with our founder and our CEO, Danny Ellis, one of the most important things that he talked about was, without our people, we don't have a product. Without our people, we don't have a Skyspecs. So we aren't investing into our people, if we're not, putting the time and energy into our people, then we don't have a company at the end of the day, right? So for me, that struck a nerve, and yeah, I'm the people guy, so of course those things are going to be important to me. But for folks that are joining the organization, it's the same motto, right? Like at the end of the day, why we've been so successful in scaling and having extremely phenomenal retention and attrition numbers is because we invest into our people. It's about giving the folks the ability to run and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. It's not being a number, right? And those are, I think, right now in this day and age, I think that's the most important thing, and that's how you attract people. You keep folks and you keep scaling.
Amazing. I love a lot of what you just said. I especially love, and I think one of my favorite things about working in startups is the ability to learn and try so many things, wear so many different hats, learn, make those mistakes and really find, how you can really optimize the problem that you're trying to solve. So just really love what you're hitting on there. Jeff, I'm going to kick it over to you next.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question. And look, there's lots of options out there, right? Like as we were just talking through, investing in your people is pretty much paramount, because people do have the opportunity to go work at a number of great tech companies out there and beyond. And so for us, I think it really, like, why do people stick around? I'm one of the founders and CEO, so I've been here since day one. So I'll address that second question. I think it's because of some of the things that were just shared. I mean, we do implicitly believe that the people are everything. I mean, you've got optionality. You can go work anywhere, and there's many, many great companies that you can go work for tomorrow. So you got to really naturally believe first and foremost in what it is that you're doing with the company that you're working at. Do I believe in this mission? Do I believe in what we're trying to accomplish? Can I get my head wrapped around that? Can I work the tireless hours that we all know come attached to working at a growing tech company or growing software company or a startup company or whatever? That's all consistent across each one of our businesses. But when it comes down to like why people choose to stay, clearly the investment in them is critical. Continuing to invest in them and investing then in the team frequently, not annually, not through a survey, not through a stacked ranking, but just continuous and conversations, frequent feedback, and looking at compensation quarterly, not annually, are some of the things that we do here at Aware. And I think beyond all of that, there's many great values that every company will go out there and say that they have. Some of ours are honesty, integrity, right? Humility, trust, heart, openness, context. These are some words that I think a lot of businesses will say they share. You can write those on your walls and you could put them in PowerPoint decks. It doesn't matter at all if you don't act in a way that aligns or supports those values. And so one of the things I would say we do incredibly well, if I take a little bit of an egotistical answer for that, it's we actually do the things we say we're going to do. And I think that builds authenticity, that builds integrity. And it's a core reason why, beyond the mission that we're all focused on, I think people choose to stay attached to this thing. We invest in them and we do the things that we say we're going to do, and we follow up on it. And it's not more complicated than that.
Yeah, I love that, Jeff. And I know we're all hitting on a lot of the same point, but people, I think, are so important in having, finding the team that you really thrive and vibe with, and the kind of that culture, I think, is just such an important thing in finding a job opportunity. So really appreciate that about all of you. Matt, let's go to you next.
Yeah, so I was not a part of the founding team, but have been here for quite some time now. And, I've been in startups for all of my career. It's all I know. And so personally, I've always just enjoyed building stuff. And I think a lot of people on this panel will feel the same way, right? Like building something from scratch and creating meaning out of it is what drives a lot of entrepreneurial type people. And I got my start in marketing and obviously expanded out, but it was always about running fast and building stuff and seeing how it goes and failing and learning and that type of stuff. So when I first talked to Patrick, who is the co-founder and COO of the company, we had an initial conversation, and it was all about if you want to make impact, come here and you will be able to, make changes that you want to make and work with a company that moves fast. So that's what drew me in. And I think about employees that stay and why they stay and join in the first place is, we are in a very technical space as far as permitting and engineering. And a lot of things are even above my head, right? We have technical people that can solve it, but at the end of the day, most of my account managers are problem solvers at the end of the day. And our solar installers and our clients will go to them to solve problems. And that gives them purpose, right? Because they can help someone out, and leads up to the bigger picture of this is how we're accelerating solar energy and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, it's that problem solving mentality that everyone takes. And we apply to sort of obviously every process that we come across at every sort of level within the company.
Amazing. Thank you so much for hitting on that. Naveed, I will let you close us out.
So we're much earlier stage than everyone else here, and so for us there are two key components, right? One is we're building towards this North Star, and between us and that North Star is a massive fog. And so if people understand what that journey looks like and how they can uncover that fog to get there, that's usually why they join. Well, that's 100% why everybody has joined Dolr, at least. Why they stay is because they see that it's possible, right? And everybody's acting towards the same goal, and we're achieving things. Small scale, bigger scale, bigger scale, bigger scale over the course of time. And it's very rewarding, right? Having the autonomy to have that input and say, you know what, I was there at the early stages and it was my idea that led to XYZ. It just doesn't come from the co-founders, it comes from everybody. So it's been exciting so far. I hope someday to do some of the things that everyone else has said, doing those quarterly reviews, making more of an investment, which we haven't earned yet, but it's been exciting.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Naveed. I appreciate it. I think culture is just so critical at organizations, and you all are definitely taking those steps to really help build that up, and just again love the focus on so much of the mission that each of you have. So shifting to the next question, I want to really focus in on I think going along with this kind of like growth idea. So we talked about a lot of like what is currently happening within your culture. Curious, are there any big actions or elements of the culture, whether it is a new office opening or a new mental health benefit or anything like that, any kind of upcoming benefits that or kind of, culture additions that are going to be happening in the next couple of years that are, I mean, even this year in 2023 to really help with growth both on that side. So kind of counteracting our first question of growth, but focusing in on the culture. Let's see. Sang, do you have anything you want to hit on there?
Yeah. So something that we did at Skyspecs is, I think this is something that Jeff talked about earlier is a lot of the distractions that people, have in their lives, right? And I don't want to say, financials are something that people shouldn't worry about, but we want folks to feel less stressed about it. We want people to know that at the end of the day, we're taking care of them, right? And that we're looking out for their best interests. So for Skyspecs, we rolled out 401k match this year, a pension plan globally for our employees. That we want folks to take that stress, that burden off of the plate, because we want them to just be able to focus on their jobs, have fun at what they're doing, and not worry about this small stuff. And I'm not saying finances are small stuff, but it's something that, even for myself, I've been doing this now for, 15 plus years. And, I hit 40 this year and I'm like, man, I got to start thinking about retirement. Right. So like, I don't want to worry about those things. And I know that that's something that our people talk about all the time. And that's what they bring up to, our conversations when we meet with them one-on-one as a people and culture team. So we wanted to take that off the plate. And, by taking that stress off the plate, it allows for folks to just kind of get into their element and get into their passions and do what they love doing. And having that excitement of why you joined an organization, we want to instill that. We want to keep that as they're doing their job every single day. So just removing one barrier is just kind of like, cool, we're moving in the right direction.
I love that. And removing barriers so that your team can do the work that you need them to do is really powerful. So thanks for hitting on that, Sang. Matt, I'll kick things over to you.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is a couple months ago, we moved into a new office in the Ally building. So it was a really big move for us. It was our first time moving out of like a co-working space and into our own space. And kind of to echo Jeff's point, we have about half of our team is remote. And again, I'm working from home today. 3 days of the week I'm in the office. But we do really believe that like having that space, even for some remote employees to come in when they please, to actually collaborate and meet in person and build those relationships is super important to us. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing that we've done lately is just trying to create this space that doesn't necessarily feel like an office, but does allow for that space for people to meet in real life.
Yeah, we definitely live in this more remote world now, but I think still creating those opportunities for connection and collaboration in person, whether it's an office or a quarterly retreat or something like that, it's just really powerful. I know I always love our Purpose Jobs team getting together, so can definitely understand the power and importance of that. Naveed, I'll let you hit. I know you're an earlier stage, but kind of curious what your kind of initial thoughts would be on growth in the culture space.
There's a very delicate balance between autonomy, thinking deeply about a problem, and then executing against it to produce tangible outcomes. So for us as a team, we're fully remote. And so the thing that we're focusing on and making improvements to culturally is how do we produce an engine that produces better questions? And how do we do that autonomously by thinking deeply and by executing so that there are results? We're not just a think tank, right? We're producing real results for people. It's been really interesting to see how the team has come together with the different ideas and how we can improve, like not only the connection between us, but also the connection to the problem, the connection to the people that we serve, and just making progress in that direction.
Love that. Thanks, Naveed, for hitting on that. Jeff, I'll let you close this out here.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate that. Like, I couldn't agree more with the rest of the panelists. Sang and Matt called out things that are core to ourselves too, the culture of aware and kind of some of the programs we put in place, we are fully aligned with Matt and saying, and specifically the view that saying you have on just, we don't want our employees to have to even think about the stress of deciding which benefits program to go with, gold, silver, bronze. If we could eliminate some of those outside variables and outside stressors by simplifying the decision for you, by just launching a platinum plan that pays for your entire family, all benefits, and makes that part of your life a little bit easier, like, we're going to do that. And we've done that, and we've continued to invest in that since Series A. From Series A through C, it's been just a core cost of doing business of our company, because we implicitly believe that that's a variable that we would love to eliminate for our individuals as they work tirelessly day in and day out on the core mission of Aware. And that, coupled with the office, look, it's obviously been written about in the media here in the city of Columbus. We have opened up a whole new office. We are 60% local and 40% remote. And we try to create just the optionality for people. We want them to congregate and come together. We think that culture, I personally think that culture is not as infectious over Zoom. It's hard to recreate that. And everything is out there trying to recreate the finest form of collaboration, which is face-to-face. So as much as we can create the optionality to bring people together, we want to do that. And so we've started to invest in this as a place of congregation. And as I mentioned in the earlier part of this session, the office itself, its identity has changed over time. It's now a place of community and congregation for us versus a place that I just go to sit at a desk every single day. So it's got a little bit of a hominess feel. We're building out a full library with fireplaces throughout the office. We've got our own speakeasy going in. It just feels like an extension of my home versus it's someplace that I'm going to work every single day. And that's important to us as well. And we've made additional investments as well. We've got awards programs that employees can nominate other employees. And if they win the award, they get a trip anywhere around the world. And it's not easy to win. You have to be nominated and ultimately voted in by your peers. But it's a way to recognize some of the top performers that oftentimes go a little bit unnoticed as you scale in size and personnel. So we're just really excited about some of those investments we've made as a company, and we'll continue to invest in that into the future.
Wow, amazing. Thank you all much for hitting on that. Thank you all so much for hitting on those pieces there. Really exciting stuff happening. Perfect. Well, first, audience, thank you. I've got a few questions in there. I'm going to start to incorporate those a little bit and keep them coming. Before we dive into one of the audience questions, I wanted to kind of prompt a little bit about your local startup and tech ecosystem. So a lot of you do have these really strong connections to the cities that you're founded in. You're really proud to be founded in these Midwest areas. Kind of talk to us about, how would you describe this local startup and tech ecosystem? Why did you choose to why is it important for your company, whether it was a founding of it, whether it's, kind of what the value that ecosystem brings to the company now? What impact has the community around you made on the organizations? And why has it been important to kind of get involved with that community? Let's go Matt first this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're based out of Detroit. And thanks in large part to sort of Rocket Mortgage and that family of companies, which is also based in Detroit. Due to Dan Gilbert's move, they were out in the suburbs. They moved in the early 2000s to Detroit and sort of planted their flag. And his goal was to create this sort of tech ecosystem, a mini tech hub in Detroit, which who would think of Detroit as a tech hub? Only someone as visionary as Dan Gilbert. So we've been involved in a couple of different programs through sort of the Rocket Mortgage family. Earlier, even before I was with the company, accelerators and things like that helped sort of establish a lot of how the company was shaped and turned into what it is today. But I think it's super helpful to be around like that sort of community because, again, we are very tech focused and just understanding how to grow and seeing other companies that are a part of the Rocket Mortgage family and how they've grown. And there's been some cross collaboration with companies within that family as well. So I would say it's been super helpful, even as a renewable energy company. Again, you think of California and Florida and Texas as these big states, but it's been kind of cool to be this, I guess, black sheep of a tech solar energy company based out of Detroit. So.
Love that, Matt. I think that's just, a superb example of how the community can make such an impact on an organization. Sang, let's go to you next.
Yeah. So, with Skyspecs being my third startup, I have been a part of the Midwest community now, gosh, 7 or 8 years. Um, you know, the wording that you used was phenomenal. Community. I think with this Midwest area that we're a part of, every startup that comes into our ecosystem, it feels like a community. Like when I'm going to some of these events and I'm meeting the founders, I'm meeting some of the executives or the people that are working for these organizations, it's passion, right? It's like that Midwestern swag that we have that it just can't be beat. And, I've worked with organizations that are in, Silicon Valley or the West Coast or even South. And there's nothing that feels the way that this Midwestern community feels, right? And it's just like, it's authentic. It's people that are driven, people that are willing to stick their hand out and give you a hand, right? It's that sense that that at the end of the day, you're going to be supported. You're going to have this community, this family that's behind you. That it's just something that unless you're a part of it, you just don't feel it, right? And once you're a part of it, you can't get away anymore. So, this is all we know, and all I know that for me, I get excited about working with the folks in this community.
Awesome. Love that saying. Jeff, I'll pop it over to you.
Yeah, as Sang was just saying, not to beat a dead horse here, but community is really everything. I think one of the paramount differences I've noticed from the Midwest and I guess take any of the coastal cities or areas, and I grew up in northern New Jersey, so I can't even call myself a New Yorker anymore because I've spent too much time in the Midwest, and I would never want to move out of the Midwest for a number of factors. But one of the most important to me is just, I think, one of the things that we see frequently as founders, as panelists, is that people are so helpful. That you're not operating your business with the intent for how do I crush the other startup in town? How do I make sure that they fail and that we win greatly? That's not in anybody's DNA in the Midwest, and I love it. Instead, it's how can we help each other? What problems are you facing? Here are the problems I'm facing. Do you have any other ideas, perspectives, context that I don't have? How do we cross-learn from each other and just build, great businesses together? And that's very different than Silicon Valley. It's very different than New York. It's very different than many other cities that exist out there. And I think it's a major differentiator for the Midwest. Humility is another important factor there too. We are not ignorant people. There's no egos. Well, there's egos where there's people, but there's fewer egos in the Midwest, I would say, than there are in some of the other coastal cities. And I think that's also an asset for companies being built out here, because you're not blinded by something that will ultimately be your greatest nemesis or your enemy to your business long term. You're willing to acknowledge the fact that you don't know everything, and that starts at the top and it goes all the way down to the front line. And I love that about the Midwest. I think it's going to help us build some great companies long term.
Love that. Thank you, Jeff. Naveed, I'll let you close out with any final thoughts.
Columbus is lit. That's what I mean. Like everybody said, I think we all experience the same. We call it the Columbus way here. Yes, like Jeff said, there are egos, but guess what? You will get 5 minutes with that person. They will give you their attention. They will be present to hear what you have to say. And if they can be helpful, they will be, right? Ego or not. That's the best thing about it. My favorite story to tell about Dolr is when we were founded, I was the only person living in Columbus. The rest of the team was in Florida. And so I flew down there with a 12-page deck with all the reasons why everybody should move to Columbus with me. And I got to the second slide, and everybody's like, okay, so we'll yes, okay, that's fine, we'll do it. What next? And so now it's in a very awkward position, because it's what am I going to do with the rest of the 20 minutes that I have allocated here? So a very easy sell, and for exactly this reason, the community in the Midwest is incredible.
Awesome. Love that. Couldn't agree more. You all did a great job there. And love all of our Midwest folks joining us today for sure. Okay, let's incorporate one of our audience questions. So we have a question: what is the biggest product challenge you're facing right now? Whether it's hiring folks, product market fit, growth, so on and so forth. So would love to dive into this one and just hear a little bit more about that. Naveed, would you want to go first this time?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is I think every startup struggles with this at some point, or continuously, is making sure that the product is improving as quickly as the need for the product is improving. And there are many ways you can do that depending on how many resources you have. We are very resource constrained, right? Like, we're early stage, we're very aware of that limitation. And so how do we continue to iterate and improve the product every single day for our users? That's the biggest challenge that we're facing.
Thank you for hitting on that. Matt, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Naveed, actually. And I know we're at a different kind of place as a startup, but we struggle with the same stuff, right? We're growing so fast. We need to make sure that our product is delivering to a larger customer base every single day. And again, it's technology, but it also takes people to do that. So that's sort of where we're at. It's making sure that our technology and our support and our fulfillment is scalable to what we're kind of selling.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. Sang, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah. So, I think biggest challenge is, gosh, the scale, right? I mean, we, as a business, Skyspecs, we went from 70 to 260 overnight. I felt like, and I think the biggest challenge is just not losing sight of, like, what are those big rocks? Every day you get pummeled with pebbles, right? And we just have to sometimes sort and get through those pebbles and get to those big rocks. The other flip side of that is just, I think the entire market just keeps shifting, and we go from in office to remote to hybrid to remote again, and it's like, it's tough on our people, right? And there's not a one size that fits all. And God, I feel like that's a $1 billion industry right now if you can kind of solve that Rubik's cube. But it's still the challenge of trying to figure out what works best for our individuals. And we're fairly so remote. We have a hybrid approach. We have offices that people can go into, but we're still trying to solve the problem of making sure that folks are moving in the right direction. Everyone's going in the same direction, right? So that we're working on the right things. And those are the challenges that, we're solving every single day. And every day we're getting a little bit better. Are we perfect? Not a chance. But, at least every single day, we're letting our people know that we're doing what we can to keep moving the needle.
For sure. Thanks, Sang. Jeff, I'll let you close us out.
I appreciate that. Like, some of the panelists have called attention to some of the challenges we face as well. I would say, if I were to really tackle the top few of them, the greatest ones are tied to scale with technology and supporting large customers that are scaling with us, both in terms of the amount of data that's processing through our systems, and we have to support in a real-time nature, in a continuous way, all the communications across employees and employees to customers through every different type of chat vehicle, from Microsoft Teams to frontline customer chat applications, and that's growing very non-linearly, exponentially, and we have to bring it all through our system and enrich it with a ton of NLP models in real time continuously. And so that presents a massive technological scale problem, and we'll continue to face that as we grow as a business. And so we've got to be really ahead of that proactively and be thoughtful about how we invest in those particular areas to make sure that we can retain the customers we want to retain and give them the same experience they've always had since day one. And I would add to that through scale as well, beyond technologically, we also have to be really focused and implicit about retaining the cultural values that matter most to us as a company, right? As you add people, that should evolve some, but it also becomes somewhat of a math problem as you get larger. Things do change, and where you used to be able to stand up in a room and see the entire business right in front of you, it's harder to do that. So trust becomes paramount there. Communication becomes more important. And one of the things that just honestly terrifies me is, as you scale as a company, how do you continue to invest and retain the cultural variables that matter to you as you become more distant, as you become more disconnected, both physically and remotely, and so on and so forth. And look, I'm constantly learning from others, even on this panel and others out there in the industry, to see what others are doing, because I don't want to mess up here. And I'd be the first to admit that I definitely don't know it all when it comes to building a growing tech company. So that's the stuff that really matters to us.
Thanks, Jeff. That was great. Appreciate all your insights on that. Okay, we're going to wrap up with just one or two more questions and then close things out. So next up, I just wanted to ask kind of, what advice would you give to fellow founders or HR professionals to kind of help them either maintain or grow to be considered a top startup or top tech company? What kind of advice would you give to others building a company and a culture? Let's go Sang first this time.
Yeah, I think the biggest advice I would give folks is slow down to speed up. Right? I think we all move so fast. Things get so chaotic that sometimes you just gotta step back and just kind of look at the amazing work, all the great things that have happened, right? Sometimes when we move so quick, we forget about the small stuff, right? And it's just like what we're talking about this year is just getting back to basics because we grew so fast in such a short amount of time. And getting back to basics means what do our people want? What do they need? What do our customers want, right? And making sure that we're working all on the right things. So that would be the biggest advice that I can give anyone that's just in this hyper growth skill.
Awesome, thanks, Sang. Naveed, let's go to you next.
So I'm just going to say that if you're not offering Dolr student loan benefits to your team, then you should probably think about it. So in all seriousness, I think for us, the biggest, best advice I can give is recognition. Recognition is so important. Like recognizing the person's work, recognizing their ideas, recognizing their contributions, recognizing their own personal struggles, recognizing they have a family, recognizing that weekends might be off limits. All of that, and it depends on the person that you're speaking with or you're working with. Combined, I think makes for a winning culture.
Amazing. You guys are giving great things. Jeff, let's go to you next.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit of a founder perspective here, having been through the journey a little bit. I think advice I would give myself maybe 5 or 6 years ago, starting another company, I'd tell myself just to acknowledge the fact that you're not going to have all the answers. And nobody expects you to have all the answers, even if your interpretation of it is that they do. Nobody really does. And by the way, nobody else has all the answers either. And a lot of times people provide advice or signals. You might assume in your early days as a startup founder that, man, they know what they're talking about. Well, the reality is none of us have a clue with what we're talking about. We're all a signal. We're all a piece of information. And as a founder, I think it's incredibly important to just acknowledge that as a real variable and recognize you're not going to have all the answers. As long as you get up the next day and put one foot in front of the next and try not to look at the end outcome as the way you operate the business. And instead of looking at the top of the stairs, just think about the fact that I just got to get over the next stair. And if I keep getting up the next stair, eventually I'll hit the top of the stairs. But if I focus on the top, I'll lose sight of the fact that there's just one step at a time I have to make to get to the top, and then I'll probably trip over my feet along the way. So try to simplify it a little bit along the journey is probably something I would have told myself 5 years ago, and it would certainly reduce a lot of the stress that comes along with starting a company.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Jeff. Matt, I'll let you close us out on this one.
Yeah. And again, I think every other panelist spoke very eloquently to each of their pieces. And I just want to add on instead of reiterate. For me, I think it's, my whole focus is on the customer and how do we bring in more customers and make them buy more and make them comfortable with our product. And in order to do that, I have to treat my team members right, because if I treat my team members right, they're going to produce for me and the company, right? So it's like, and again, that might mean coaching and making sure that they're set up for success. But it's like, treat the people right and they will run through walls for you.
Couldn't agree more. Definitely focus on the people. Perfect. Okay. Well, last question for panelists. Just want to give you all an opportunity to share any closing thoughts on this panel with the community, and then let us know how the audience can stay in touch, whether it's a newsletter, a LinkedIn follow. Let us know if you have any open jobs, things like that. So yeah, if we could just kind of close out with this piece, we will wrap things up. Matt, I'm going to let you start first this time.
Yeah, so we are, again, you can follow us at Greenlancer on LinkedIn. A lot of our content is solar installer focused, but we do have some opened roles, marketing, I think some operations stuff. And then in sort of Q2, we're going to start opening up some more tech roles. Because again, as I spoke about before, we're trying to scale our technology and product to meet the demand of our customers. So that's what we're looking to do as we grow into 2023 and really continue to make our impact in the renewable energy space.
Thanks, Matt. Naveed, I'll go to you next.
We're fully remote. We're growing fast. We would love anybody who wants to make a difference in the world of student loans and building wealth to be in touch. And we would love anybody who hires people to be in touch as well. You can follow us on Dolr. My email address, I think, is pretty public. It's been such a pleasure and really a privilege to be part of this panel with everybody here. Learned a lot from folks who are further along. Jeff, we should have a coffee. I would like to learn some more. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naveed. Jeff, I'll go to you next.
Naveed, I'll take you up on that coffee, wherever, whenever. Shoot me a note. Happy to do that. I just want to thank everybody, like the community in every city, right? Maybe not Ann Arbor, no offense saying, the whole Columbus, Ann Arbor thing, you guys are kind of ahead right now. But no, with all due respect, just thank you to everybody for it's just the shared belief in each one of the companies that we're all kind of working tirelessly on building. And if there's any way that we can help or I can help provide advice, counsel, guidance, mentorship, we've all been through some of the things that everyone's going through. And so happy to just extend myself there as an option or as a resource for founders looking to get off the ground. To stay in touch with us, we are hiring across almost every division. I think we post a lot of our jobs on Purpose Jobs website. You can find us on LinkedIn as well and all the different social platforms. So feel free to hit us up there and somebody will be in touch relatively quickly. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. And Sang, I will let you close us out.
Thank you, Purpose Jobs. I want to start there. Thank you to the panelists and the folks that are viewing this today. It's just this super exciting work that everyone's doing. I couldn't be more excited, more proud to be a part of this community. You can follow us on skyspecs.com, on LinkedIn. Realistically, our jobs are going to change from operations all the way to tech and leadership. We're just growing nonstop globally. We're now in, I believe, 8 different countries at this point. And it's the growth is never going to stop, I don't feel like. So that's exciting stuff, right? So it just couldn't be a better time for us in the renewable space and the changes that are going on. So something that you can definitely lay your head down and sleep well at night, knowing that you're changing the world, right? And we're changing it one day at a time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sang. Yes, huge shout out to our panelists, virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us. To the audience, really appreciate you tuning in. Definitely stay in touch and we will follow up with the companies, with our panelists' company information so that you can make sure to stay in touch with them. Thank you so much and everyone have a very happy Tuesday.
Thank you.